Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. Many of the innovations developed for the Air Force were created to meet tactical and logistical needs, and improve the effectiveness of this military branch. Needs such as short or damaged runways during times of conflict resulted in the creation of vertical and short takeoff and landing technology. The first aircraft prototypes using this technology began in the 1950s, and it wasn't until the 1960s that aircraft with significant potential appeared, such as the AV-8B Harrier and its second generation in the 1980s. The development of this model allowed its power unit to achieve thrusts of 22,000 pounds necessary for its vertical movement, in addition to advanced avionics that give this aircraft reconnaissance and offensive support capabilities. Due to the complexity of the aircraft's VTOL systems, the takeoff process requires well-trained personnel. Both pilots and ground crew are responsible for preparing the systems and performing routine checks to confirm that the aircraft is correctly set up. After reviewing the mission plan, the pilot boards the aircraft, tests the cockpit instruments, and familiarizes himself with the aircraft's status. While these procedures occur, ammunition is loaded for each aircraft's weapons, including its 25mm cannon, rocket pods, 5 types of missiles, and Mark 80 bombs. In addition to the weapons, the aircraft is fueled, with personnel checking for leaks. Finally, the engine is started by the gas turbine starter, which functions as an auxiliary power unit. Once ready, the pilot proceeds to initiate the takeoff steps, which can be vertical or short, thanks to its technology.
The first flight ever in a Harrier is like, you don't really remember it because it's so fast. I mean, you take off and like your brain is back behind you on the runway. It was really exciting.
While the Harrier II's prowess can be seen taking off from military bases worldwide, its specialized technology truly demonstrates its potential when the aircraft moves between different naval vessels. From aircraft carriers to amphibious assault ships, the Harrier leverages its VTOL capabilities to overcome the limited space available on these ships. In fact, these restrictions were one of the driving forces behind the development of this technology and the creation of aircraft like the Harrier. These landing and takeoff processes must follow critical steps for a successful operation. The pilot approaches the ship with the help of the optical landing system and in coordination with the ship's bridge. Once at a safe distance from the runway, the pilot activates the rotation of the forward nozzles to begin a stable descent. This same system can be used for vertical ascent or rapid horizontal ascents, taking advantage of the ship's catapult systems. In other cases, these landing procedures are put to the test when emergencies arise that can increase the difficulty of the maneuvers. An example of this occurred in June 2014, when Captain William Mahoney suffered a failure in the nose landing gear while taking off with his AV-8B Harrier from the assault ship USS Bataan. Upon realizing the problem, the aircraft made an emergency vertical landing, positioning itself on a stool designed to support the aircraft's nose for this specific case.
We pride ourselves at landing on the ship perfectly like this, in the same spot every time, and doing the same thing over and over again. But there's no way to train to land in this kind of situation.
Because these types of emergencies can occur without warning, maintenance teams must always be prepared to handle these mishaps and return the aircraft to a fully operational state. These operations are performed in the aircraft's hangar base, where all the necessary tools are available for checks and repairs. In-service repairs, which mean they are unplanned, are quickly dealt with thanks to the expertise of the marine aviation technicians who have been prepared for these kinds of situations. Once the plane is fully operational, the crew moves it to the flight deck, where the personnel follows the standard procedures of weapons loading, while the pilot boards and begins the takeoff steps. From their perspective, this moment is very unique when compared with most pilots, as they can experience firsthand the forces of a short liftoff and the acceleration gained to leave the ship's runway. While in the air, the pilots can also deal with procedures like air refueling, which uses the probe and drogue system to extend the range of the plane and mission endurance. While the Harrier II's capabilities have been essential tools for the military and provided significant tactical advantages, this aircraft is currently undergoing decommissioning after decades of service, as is the case with all combat aircraft. In this case, the process is planned to conclude between 2027 and 2030, allowing it to be completely replaced by a fleet of F-35B Lightning II aircraft and modernize aviation capabilities. Progressively, aircrew and maintainers will be transitioning to other careers within the Marine Corps as the final divestment of Harriers begins. During decommissioning, the plane is sent to facilities like the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona, where the personnel follow an inspection to assess the condition of the plane. Then, any sensitive components like advanced avionics, communication, and weapon systems are removed by the facility workers to ensure the plane will not get operational in the future. For this reason, the structure of the plane has slight modifications to ensure it cannot be repaired. although this is usually where all these aircraft would end up. A few are also destined for museums or public education centers. One such example includes the shipment of a Harrier II to the Prima Air and Space Museum. Preparation for shipment to this type of location is just as strict, if not more so, than the shipment to the boneyard, considering that these aircraft will be near the civilian population. As the Harrier II gradually phases out of service with the Air Force, the F-35 fills the void with its powerful technology and design. All of this is thanks to the dedication and ingenuity of Lockheed Martin employees at the Fort Worth manufacturing plant. Lockheed, along with partners like Northrop Grumman, produces more than 150 F-35s annually, thanks to its innovative aircraft manufacturing methods. This process divides the aircraft into 4 main sections, including the forward fuselage and center wing built by Lockheed Martin, the center fuselage built by Northrop, and the outer wings built jointly by Lockheed in Fort Worth and Leonardo in Italy. Each area is assembled with the highest technology and processes to achieve the best results. For example, Northrop created the integrated assembly line to improve efficiency during production, which works as a highly automated set of work cells developed to assemble the center fuselage for the F-35. All operations performed during the aircraft's manufacturing are assisted by digital tools and robotics, using 3D models to optimize assembly steps, or implementing AGVs to improve the transport of components and parts between production cells. Other innovative processes include using augmented reality with projection works technology to assist workers in the assembly processes. This technology uses projectors on components to guide technicians in processes, such as fastener installation. While each section of the structure is built in its dedicated facilities, Pratt & Whitney is responsible for creating the powerful F-135 engine that allows the aircraft to reach speeds of Mach 1.6. This is thanks to its ability to produce a thrust of 28,000 pounds force and up to 43,000 pounds force if the design includes an afterburner that injects more fuel into the jet pipe. Depending on the F-35 version, this engine can be integrated with other technologies, as is the case with the B variant, which includes the Rolls-Royce lift system. This is composed of a shaft-driven lift fan with a nozzle and roll posts to create the necessary lift and stability for the VTOL capabilities of the plane. During assembly, the lift fan is connected to the engine via a drive shaft, which transfers power. Once the aircraft is assembled, various tests are performed to verify the functionality of each component under certain conditions. One such test involves subjecting the F-35 to a climatic chamber to ensure its performance under high and low temperatures and humidity changes. This is done with the strictest controls to obtain the best data. Thus, with tests like this, the aircraft can demonstrate its capabilities operating in short runways or on assault ships. When looking at the F-35's capabilities, one can see the result of decades of research, development, and improvement of aeronautical technologies such as VTOL. This is why iconic aircraft like the Harrier have emerged, and their effectiveness has left a legacy that other aircraft like the F-35 will continue to have in the future. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.